Good evening. Welcome to Grand Blanc Township Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, December 13th. If we could all rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So everybody knows the swearing in was last meeting, right? Okay, that wasn't that funny. Okay, I'll ask for motion to approve the agenda. Go ahead, Clerk Robertson.
Trustee Hugo.
Here.
Trustee Fike.
Here.
Trustee Raritan.
Here.
Trustee White.
Here.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Here.
Myself, I'm here, of course. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7 members present, a quorum.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. I do have an amendment that we'd like to add. I emailed it to everybody this afternoon. Director Sears for DPW Department was informed that we need to have some additional work approved to be able to get the site ready for the new DPS building and fire department building, some additional surveying work. So I'm asking that we be able to stick that on the agenda. I emailed that to everybody this afternoon. We can make that item O under new business, if everybody's okay with that.
Approval of the agenda as amended.
Okay, you're making that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Support by
Hugo, okay. Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
I'm also going to ask during my report for a meeting change from December 28th to December 22nd at 11 a.m. So if before now and the end of the meeting, if we can take a look at our calendars and make sure
That's
that
on the
works.
calendar.
But right now, it's scheduled for the 28th. Okay, at this time.
11 a.m.
I'm sorry?
Is that what you said?
Right, 11 a.m. Okay. Okay, one of the things that we have instituted is a public comment card that we ask that anybody that wants to make public comment, just so that we can record their name and address, other information for follow-up, we ask that you use one of these cards. If you haven't filled one out yet and you'd like to make public comment, feel free to do so at this time. We do have, I did receive one card. Are there any others that anybody wishes to make public comment? This way we won't have to read out loud everybody's address and what have you, but we will ask for your name definitely. So we have one comment here, Mr. Ricardo Alfaro. Good evening.
Good evening to the Township Board. I'm Ricardo Alfaro. I'm the treasurer of the Concord Green Homeowners Association. As you know, we're pursuing the special assessment district. The Concord Green homeowners received a letter dated November 28th, signed by Township Clerk. The letter says that the board will hold a public hearing tonight to consider approval of the special assessment roll for the subdivision roads. It also indicates, and I quote, "Plans are available for review in the clerk's office," in the letter. At the November 1st meeting, the special assessment project was approved by the board. And as we understood at tonight's meeting may constitute the second hearing that we know. I went to the township office and requested to see the plans. I was told that I should contact Jeff Sears since the clerk did not know of any such plans. I mentioned the letter indicated that the plans were in the clerk's office, and I have the letter with me. In a phone call that same afternoon from the township clerk, he indicated to me that the plans would not be available until spring. I understood perfectly that. After I mentioned the letter, he told me that the lawyer writes the letter and that it follows the county language.
State language.
The clerk offered to, and did, send me what he has, which is the estimate from the Genesee County Road Commission and the map with affected houses, information that we have had for several months already. I asked the clerk to please send a letter to homeowners indicating the situation in order for them not to expect to see the plans in the township clerk's office, contrary to what the letter said. No such communication has been sent to the homeowners. I sincerely hope that any further official communication from the township regarding this project is carefully reviewed, especially by the signatories, to make sure that the text of the letter is accurate. Not doing so might indicate a feeling of distrust, might induce a feeling of distrust between the homeowners and the officers of the township. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll review the correspondence with our legal team. Any
Well,
comment, David?
I'm happy to respond now, or do you want to wait for
Sure,
the?
go ahead.
Well, and so Mr. O'Farrell is correct, and with the context of his conversation with Clerk Robertson, my office does consult on the letters that went out, and the language that we use in that letter essentially corresponds with the state statute. It's MCL 41.724, and that says that the township needs to make known that there are prepared plans describing the improvement and location of the improvement with an estimate of costs of the improvement. They need to be available to the public. And so, and I had a brief conversation with Clerk Robertson about the fact that that language is used in a lot of different public notices, and it applies to a lot of different agencies. So at any given time during a project, you might have detailed plans, you might have cross sections of the road, you might have curb cuts, all that stuff. But at this stage, and very rarely do we have plans of that detail when we are creating a district and affirming their role. And so Clerk Robertson's correct. If there was any confusion, I apologize for that. I can do better with the language of the state statute by including that language, but also identifying exactly what we have, which in this case is kind of an overlay of the district, a description of the roads, a real brief description of the work to be done and the cost. So we gave you everything we had, but it's certainly fine for us to clarify that in future correspondence.
Thank you, Mr. Leidy. Okay, seeing no further public comment, we're going to bring it back to the board. And at this time, we do need to go into a closed session. And the board will consider a closed session pursuant to MCL 15.268C to discuss strategy and negotiation sessions connected to a collective bargaining agreement and an employment agreement. Somebody care to make that motion? Motion by Ms. Hugo, supported by Mr. Fike.
Supported by Fike. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes. We are going into closed session at 7:08 PM.
Okay, let's, I think folks are going to be sticking around for this, for us to come back out. Let's use the conference room D right behind the boardroom here. So we'll exit out this door and the room immediately to your left. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started again. The time is
We are
9:00.
reconvening,
Yep,
9:07 PM.
correct. We just came out of closed session, and one of the things that we were doing is considering strategy and negotiation with regard to collective bargaining agreement. Do we want to have a motion at this time?
You do.
Okay, would somebody care to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. You're making the motion to vote to approve the agreement for the command, Ms. Hugo?
Correct.
Okay.
That's FOP.
sufficient?
By Hugo.
That's executive command, correct?
Yes, executive command for the police.
I'll second it. Nobody else does.
Okay?
And seconded by Kilmer.
Yep.
Okay. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes, yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for that. Mr. Fike? Ms. Hugo supports,
Motion by Fike, supported by Hugo. On the consent agenda, Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. Under old business, strategic planning, we have IT upgrades that we've been moving through our strategic plan with, and we have Nate Lucevelt here to talk a bit about what's been going on with their IT plan. Good evening.
Good evening. So I'll try to make it brief. The IT department has been making good progress towards the board's strategic plans. So I want to provide an update on that and also an update on some of the
Hey.
projects.
Is your microphone on, do you know?
Yeah, it is on, yes.
Are you hearing?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Sorry, we thought maybe it wasn't on.
Okay. So I'm going to provide some updates on the projects that have been completed since the last time I've given an update, and some of the projects that are going to be moved out to next year. They're delayed. So we finished the segmentation of the township networks. We finished the majority of the network switch project. The last thing that is required is some cable management in the police station upstairs network room. We are moving the target finish date for the cable management to Q2 of next year. We implemented a new domain controller server. We implemented a BSNA SQL server to run the BSNA software. Part of that same project was to replace the file server, and that is going to be pushed out until 2023. We replaced, or we actually put in place a new firewall at the fire station and brought them onto our network. Some of this stuff has been discussed in my board reports that I do, so you may have already heard me talk about some of these things. We did finish our goal of 25 machines, desktops and laptops that we've replaced for 2022. That is always ongoing though, so we're continuing to do that towards the end of the year. We made progress on establishing an IT hardware standards and purchasing policy. That's not completely finished. And I had moved that until Q4 of 2023. Likely to be finished before then, but I don't want to put too much stuff in, because we do have some stuff that I've already planned for next year, so. And then the last thing is the off-site backup is not fully completed, so I'm moving that to next year as well. So a lot of these delays kind of just happen because of I put a lot of stuff to complete on the first year I started doing this. So a little too much going on at one time. We were working on the Axon body camera system. So a lot of my efforts are being focused, or the dash cam / body cam system. So a lot of efforts are being focused on that. So any questions?
So I have had conversation with the chief with regard to the body cams and the vehicle cameras. I also spoke with our head mechanic, Nick Prevo, and very impressed with, everybody is very impressed with the work that you and Nick are doing with regard to the cameras and in the cars and the body cams, and really, going the full 9 yards to find out all the details of how the thing works and what have you. And we're confident that whatever we run into, you guys will be able to resolve. I mean, every situation's unique, but very impressed with the work you guys have been doing on that. It's important that we get it right, because if those things aren't working well, it can be as big a liability or bigger liability than not having them at all. So thanks for your work on that. What's the biggest challenge for your department, Nate, these days?
The ongoing cybersecurity threats that are continuing to rise, especially as the war continues. Things are getting worse and worse, so that's kind of the biggest thing we're trying to fight off. And so far, we've been fighting it all off. So, but
So we get reports. I mean, you can look at it daily, right? The reports on how many attacks we've had, and where they're coming from and lots of details, right?
Yep.
And which individuals are getting the most
You.
phishing
course.
scams. So,
Well, after we put the new email system or the email security system in place, the amount of things that we were missing before was pretty astronomical. So it's nice to see that it actually is making an improvement.
okay. Any questions for Mr. Luceville? Okay, thank you very much, Nate. We appreciate your work. The next on the strategic plan was an update regarding the business owners meeting, and that is with regard to the north portion of the township. We've expanded the area a little bit. We're starting down south of Hill Road now and going all the way up to Maple Road on both Dort and Saginaw Street. We had good representation at our meeting last week, I guess it was, with a number of the business owners. We are forming the association, as we discussed at the board meeting. We had 5 or 6 individuals that volunteered to be the steering committee for that group. And we have a number of issues that we want to take a look at. So we're going to meet mid-January and start meeting with some experts on various areas of interest, whether it's upgrading the street lighting, whether it's making it a walkable area, whatever the case may be. They're not opposed, I don't believe, to participating in a special assessment if it's going to benefit their area directly. At some point, we'll probably need to get some residents involved in the area as well, but even beautification came up as a concern, that there's some things we can do, especially at the corners of Maple and Saginaw Street, and the same with Dort. They're interested in helping with that too. So really a good meeting, and lots of interest, and we're going to start fanning the flames even more towards that interest starting in January. I imagine we'll probably be meeting, could be every month until we get things rolling on a few projects. So, any questions? Paul?
You'll have to forgive me because I've been unable to be at the last 2 meetings.
Sure.
I have followed what's been going on, so is this all we're doing now?
What's that? What?
We've abandoned the whole idea of a TIF district or something like that? Is that just completely off the table now?
No, what we're doing is we're forming the association of the actual business owners, the property owners in the area. We're going to look at the projects that we want to initiate to begin with, and we've come up with a prioritization list that we had all of them, number. And I guess we'll see if the TIF district actually fits into what they envision wanting to tackle first. But one of the things that the group actually said is let's accomplish some small things first so that we get some wins under our belt, and then we can tackle the bigger issues, maybe like the TIF district and others.
How many people did we actually get to come to this meeting?
How many were there, Melissa? 12 property owners, something like that? And half of them volunteered to be on the steering committee, so.
Not, frankly, many. I mean, we're talking about 4 miles of road.
Yeah,
12 property owners?
right.
Through you, Mr. Supervisor, to Trustee White, how many did we have in our first meeting? Something in the high teens, maybe?
Oh, more than that.
20s?
About 30.
Okay.
30 or 35.
And we've stayed in communication with all of those folks.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think it was a good representative sample of the businesses that were there, that are impacted by this.
I just don't want this to be something we study to death and don't actually do anything. because
Yeah, we don't want
we're going on our
paralysis
third
by
year.
analysis.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in our 3rd year as a board, and frankly, we haven't done anything so far.
Well, getting the people together and getting them to volunteer, I mean, is part of the hurdle. Because do we want to be the ones that do this, actually get out there and do the legwork on this, or are they going to be? And the idea is to get them to be empowered to do it. Otherwise, guess what? When we go away, any work in that area goes away. And so that's the idea, is to empower them to actually become a group that has a voice and that organizes to raise money. If it's just us basically saying, hey, we're going to throw money at this thing, we're going to run out of money real quick. So what we have to do is we have to get them to actually say, hey, we want to pay for putting up new lighting. And, rather than us saying, no, you will pay for new lighting. So it's a little bit different trying to get people to volunteer to come forward and say, yeah, let's do this, rather than us imposing our will on them. So it's kind of like, telling business owners, you will put something in that vacant building, or motivating them to say, hey, I can see the vision that the other business owners have in this area. I think I will put my building on the market. And that's what we're trying to do, is build relationship. And what's nice about it is it's not just a meeting where they all just sit down and listen to us and then get up and leave. It's a meeting where you can see some relationships forming amongst the business owners that are there. And, I'd invite any of the board members to come. I know Dave's been at one of them. I don't know if Joel came, but I'd invite, any board members to come to that meeting to see what actually takes place. But we're building an association, which is a little bit different than the township saying, we're going to do this for you and we're going to do that. So it takes a little bit of time to do that, and I feel we are making some progress, but it isn't an overnight thing. But we don't have tons of money to throw at this thing either. We talked about the possibility of establishing a revolving loan fund. They like the idea of that, where we would be putting some money in it, but whether it's for facade improvements, whether it's seed money for the lighting projects or what have you. So it isn't moving at the speed that everybody would like it, but unless we want to fork over the money and say, here's what we're doing, it's going to move a little bit slower. But what I think we're going to end up with is a product that continues to grow as time goes on, instead of just one that kind of fizzles out real quick when we run out of money. So, okay, ARPA funding update. I don't know that Dennis, yeah, it's in the packet, so we don't need to go through that. At this time, we actually have on our agenda a public hearing for the creation of a special assessment district for the purpose of street repair in the Concord Green subdivision. Mr. Laddie?
Thanks. Thanks, everybody, for sticking around, too, to comment on this. This is our public hearing, which is required by law for us to review the proposed special assessment role and to approve that role if we deem it appropriate. We heard a little bit about the notice that went out to the residents, and included in that notice was the information that included a $602,500 estimate for the project. I think that estimate, and Mr. Sears can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's a June of '21 estimate. And so we all know what has been going on with money these days. We all know about expenses, but nonetheless, when we created the district, that was the estimate that we had. There may be revised estimates in the future, and there also may be an opportunity, I'll let Mr. Sears talk about this, to participate in a program that the Road Commission is instituting that could allow the township to make a contribution of I think, up to 10%, and the Road Commission to make a contribution similarly of 10%. So this $602,000 number, while it may be a bit stale for today's economic times, there is a backstop for it. And I think that we are going to qualify for that project. And that's why we scheduled it at this interesting slot in our agenda options. So tonight, we've got, I think, some residents here that want to make some comments about you can comment about the assessment district, of course, if you want. That's already been created. But they may want to have a comment about the role, which, again, is $602,500, but the proposed per lot assessment is $4,334.53. That can be spread at the property owner's option over 10 years if they want. So they could, under those numbers, come up with a $433 a year payment plan. And so, unless there are any questions from the board, if you want to open up the public hearing, I guess we'll hear what the folks have to say.
Any board member thoughts or comments first before we move to public hearing on this? Okay.
Mr. Sears, is there anything that you need to add?
What was the,
Dollar amount?
the percentage of people that wanted this?
60, yeah.
Over 60?
67, they said.
Okay. See no comments or questions here. We'll open the floor for public hearing. And I know we've got the slips.
9:23.
We got the slips that we ask people to fill out, but we'll skip that for the public hearing. And anybody that would like to speak on this topic, we invite you to come to the podium. We ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anybody wish to speak? Going once? Okay, come on forward, sir. Good evening. If you'd provide your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
For the record, Roy Charles Greenia, 1338 Rollins.
Roy,
C. Greenia. Charles is my middle name.
spell the last name if you would, please.
Green is in the color, IA.
Thank you, sir.
1338 Rollins.
Thank you.
I have a unique situation. I purchased the property immediately to my west that was owned by a gentleman who had a fire in his house. It does not currently have any improvement on it over in a couple trees and a shed in the back. Its value is not the value of my property immediately to the east, which has my house and is worth considerably more than vacant land. However, I'm assessed the same value for both properties. I don't know who made the decision on how the assessment was going to be allocated to the members of the community. And I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I notice it. My bill's going to be more like $8,000 for basically my same house and vacant land. And again, I've not recorded any kind of objection to this procedure. The road needs to be worked on, and I appreciate the work of the subdivision's leadership that have gone out there and gotten the signatures and pursued this. I just wanted to make my concern noted. I appreciate your time, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'll address those concerns in a moment. Anybody else wish to speak with regard to the paving or the special assessment district? Sure. Mr. Alfaro.
Yeah, Ricardo Alfaro, 1460 Huntley Drive. Yeah, just a question for clarification. David Ladio, you were saying that the estimate it was to 2021, and I know prices have gone up and probably will be different at the time of the bidding. When the homeowners signed the petition, this was the number in the petition, the 4,334.53 for each of them. I said, and we are under the understanding that if the bids come more than 10% of this estimate, then there would be a new hearing to see if we proceed or not with the project.
So you're right. If it turns out that we reach a point in time where the increases are more than $602,000, and this is something that'll be interesting. I think that we're able to also take into consideration that 1010 program. So honestly, that could be an additional $120,000. So I guess if we got to the point where we exceeded $702,000, then we would have to have another hearing just like this one to tell everybody that the costs have gone up more than 10% and to see what the board wants to do moving forward. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's an estimate from last summer or 2021. Prices are going up. So we may see each other again, depending on how this goes.
It would be if it's 10%, the total cost per homeowner after the new estimate from the Genesee County Road Commission plus the possibility of the 15% here from the township and the.
Then we will be right back here.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anybody else wish to make comment? Anybody else? Okay, we're going to close public comment and,
It is 9:28 PM.
correct? Okay. And the first order of business under new business, item A, the board will consider Resolution 22-35 adopting the proposed special assessment role for the Concord Green Street Paving Special Assessment District. Okay, motion by trustee Fike, support by trustee Hugo.
Okay. Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item B, the board will consider Resolution 22-37, which was in your packet, to approve an amendment to the 2022 general fund budget.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay? Support by trustee Fike.
Motion support by Fike. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. The board will consider Resolution 22-38 to approve an amendment to the 2022 special revenue funds budget.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay? There's support? I'll support it.
Okay. Supported by Bennett. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item D, the board will consider a motion to approve a contribution to other post-employment benefits in the MERS defined benefit pension plan.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay? Support by Ms. Hugo?
Good.
Some discussion?
Yes. Mr. Reardon, Dr. Reardon?
Ms. Kathy, if you can kind of go through the decision process for how this was allocated. I know there was we took a big hit in the healthcare, but could you just explain everything?
Sure. In the 2022 budget right now, we had almost 900,000 budgeted for post-employment benefits. At the end of last year's audit report, it was determined by this board here to also assign an additional fund balance that remained at the end of last year at December 31st, 2021, another $1 million. So in total, we had $1.9 million. The reasoning behind this, we decided to put $1 million towards the other post-employment benefits or the retiree health care, just because and that's all coming from the general fund. The general fund portion, while our actuarial as a whole was 106% funded, the general fund portion was not. It's offset. It's still over $2 million unfunded, about $2.5 million underfunded yet. So we decided to, and in addition to, we've had investment losses. I just checked the balance today. We're down $2.4 million from the end of last year. So given that consideration, there's no way we're going to be 106% funded next year. And we still want to keep our foot on the pedal and keep going with this right here. So we decided that we would put $1 million towards the OPEB. And then also the defined benefit pension plan, $225,000 towards that. To offset that as well, to offset the unfunded balance in there as well.
Is that in addition to what we put on an ongoing basis?
Correct. OPEB, we're not required to, other than to pay the retiree health care that we pay right now, but we're not required to put anything towards that unfunded liability as we are with pension. So with pension, we have an annual required contribution that we have to make by state law. So that is made, we always make that. This is in addition over and above, the $225,000 is over and above that amount.
Okay.
So we're actually paying about $1.2 million towards that this year in addition to the $225,000. So in total about $1.5 million. So if you look at it, we're really putting about the same amount towards both plans.
We're putting about how much towards both plans?
Yeah, if you include this $1 million additional contribution towards OPEB, in addition to what we pay for retiree health care, which is, I think last year it was about $650,000. So that's what we're putting towards OPEB. Now, the MERS defined benefit pension plan, this year I believe it's about 1.2 million that we have to pay, we're required to pay, in addition to the 225,000. So, you know, it's pretty close to about the same amount that we're putting towards both plans if you look at everything.
Okay, so, because I want to make sure I understand this portion here.
Sure.
You said, you know, the general fund, so the general fund is $2 or $3 million short for the OPEB, correct?
Yes, correct. While the plan as a whole is overfunded, that's because the DPW is over $4 million overfunded. So the general fund is still about $2.5 million underfunded, and we can't combine the two. They're two separate, distinct pots of money. We can't combine those. So yes, the general fund is still underfunded.
And so the DPW, again, and you know that this is probably easy, but we can't use any of that DPW money to fund anything but the DPW medical that's there.
Correct, because it comes from water sewer customers, so it has to be used to strictly fund water sewer costs. We can't take water sewer money and use it to pay for something in the general fund, correct.
And we are way overfunded in that, but, and that goes probably to our funding levels, is that correct?
Correct, yes, we made additional contributions. The DPW continued to make additional contributions up until, I think it was 2020 was the last additional contribution because of their overfunding. And, yeah, and then just, you know, with the investment returns, we were doing fairly well on investment returns up until this year. And so, yes, it became overfunded, the DPW did.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Solstack? Jude?
Nothing for that. No.
Shall I proceed with the roll call?
Yeah, we had a motion.
We have a motion, we have a support.
Go ahead.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
No.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
6-1, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item E, the board will consider Resolution 22-34 to adopt the DDA 2023 budget as adopted by the DDA. Mr. Fike? I'll support it.
Motion by Fike, supported by Bennett. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item F, the board will consider a motion to approve a local road agreement with the Genesee County Road Commission to provide road construction services in Concord Green subdivision. Any comments, Director Sears?
Good evening. These next two agenda items are the same. They're just approving local road agreements with the road commission as it states, which is basically our binding agreement with them to reimburse them for the project once it's constructed. This starts the design process and the bidding process. Again, if the bids come back 10% over the initial estimate, then it'll come back to the township board for another public hearing. Just a quick note on the Concord Green estimate. Even though it was a 2021 estimate, it was confirmed to be still within what they feel is a good price for 2022 or 2023 construction season. So it was a little high in 2021. So when they looked at it again, they felt comfortable with it for moving forward. So
Okay.
we should be hopefully okay, as long as things don't get worse.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sears.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the motion in order, Mr.
Yes,
Supervisor?
please.
Then I will make that motion.
Okay, is there support? Support by Ms. Hugo.
Support by Hugo. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item G, the board will consider a motion to approve a local road agreement with the Genesee County Road Commission to provide road construction services in the Kings Point subdivision.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay, support by Mr. Fike.
Supported by Fike. Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. Item H, the board will consider a motion to approve a contract with TG Prees LLC for pathway and bleacher pad construction in Bicentennial Park for $79,850 and allow the township superintendent to execute all related contracts and agreements. There's information on this in the packet. Mr. Sears, anything to add? Any questions for Mr. Sears? Makes it handicap accessible. We received some grant money for it.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Support by Mr. White.
Motion by Hugo, supported by White. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Okay, item I, the board will consider Resolution 22-36 in support of a Spark grant application. The information was in the packet, but Ms. Roberts is here and worked on the grant.
Good evening. Just in case you have any
Evening.
questions about this.
Any comments on it? I know it was a lot
Yeah.
of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
For the public, maybe just recap what we're asking for.
Sure. We are applying for a grant through the state of Michigan. It's called a Spark grant. And what we're applying for is realigned parking in our Creasy Bicentennial Park. It's going to be a limestone. It'll still be gravel, but it'll have the permazyme over it, and it's really fantastic. The best part about what we're seeking out is that we will be putting in 16 ADA compliant spaces in the park, which we don't have right now. We do have some signs that say handicapped, but they're not paved, and so this would be really nice. And we're requesting money to pave certain pathways that would allow someone in a wheelchair to get out to our multi-purpose field or to the splash pad or to our pathways, because those are all paved. So we need this resolution in order to apply for the grant.
Okay, making the motion, Ms. Hugo. Okay, support by
Motion
Mr.
by
White.
Hugo, supported by White. Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you. Item J, the board will consider a motion to upgrade the police department community room audio-visual equipment with Conference Technologies, Inc. for the amount of $23,601.79 and approval for the superintendent to execute all contracts.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Ms. Roberts, you want to, just for the public's benefit, talk a little bit about what we're doing there?
So you all went into the community room in the police department when we were displaced from this room, and the audio is absolutely horrible in that room. So that is our backup for any meetings that we have for the public, and so we need to upgrade that equipment. Of course, our police department uses it on a regular basis, and we have a lot of classes in there, and so this is just, our equipment's outdated. We need to do the upgrade. That's what this is.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Roberts.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion.
Is it similar to the equipment that we have here?
I think it's the same company that we use too.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make the motion.
We have a motion, we have a support from trustee Hugo?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item K, the board will consider a motion to approve a 2-year contract with Hydro Corp for cross-connection control inspections for a total of $33,792 and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related contracts and documents. We have Mr. Sears here. Anybody has any questions? I don't know, we've talked about cross-connection control, I think in the past, but Mr. Sears?
HydroCorp just performs our required cross-connection control inspections in all commercial businesses throughout the township. They've been our partner since 2017. Relationship's really good, so we want to continue that.
Where are we at with cross connections being required for residential?
We're not talking about it.
Okay.
Actually, we know that legislation, that rule is going to be coming. It's not here yet. So when that does happen, we'll probably pursue HydroCorp being our partner in that also, because that will be a monumental task.
They're able to cover that as well?
Absolutely.
What the legislation would require is for anybody with, for example, irrigation system to have that tested annually.
That is correct. And some municipalities already do that. We do not. But we know where most of them are, but we don't know where all of them are. So that'll be a big task when the hammer drops on that one.
Yep.
It won't be long.
Right. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Somebody care to make the motion? Ms. Hugo makes the motion, supported by Mr. Fike.
And Fike supports. Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item L, the board will consider a motion to approve a contract with Rowe Professional Services to provide easement acquisition services for the proposed Embury and Cook Road shared use path for $12,600 and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related contracts and agreements. Mr. Sears, we've had some initial discussions with at least one property owner, maybe you've had more, but
That may be the only property owner we need easements from yet. So our next trailway that we're looking to plan is the connection between the Dort Highway pathway and Grand Blanc Road. That's down Cook Road and over on Embry Road. The first step to that is to acquire the easements that we need. Unfortunately, the right-of-way isn't wide enough, the entire path that we want to take. So there's, I believe, 4 or 5 properties that we need to acquire easements for. So Rowe Professional Services will do all the survey work that we need, prepare the easement documents, and then township staff will approach those property owners to hopefully acquire the easements.
Mr. Fike?
Are these largely businesses you're talking about?
They are all business, yeah.
Well, all of them that we'd require easements from, otherwise there is some public land along there, right? Or
There is a large chunk of MDOT property that we believe will be easy enough to.
Mr. Kilmer?
So this 12,500 covers Rowe's fees, it doesn't cover any purchases of easements?
No, it does not, because we won't know. Generally, the easements are granted to us for, in these situations, for a very nominal amount, but we don't know what that'll be until we actually start talking to the property owners.
Okay. Well, somebody care to make the motion? Okay, Mr. Fike makes the
Motion by Fike,
supported by trustee White.
supported by White. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee White.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item N, the board will consider a time change for the meeting on December 28th. I guess we're going to move the time up if we can to the 22nd, if that works, and do it maybe at 11 o'clock. We have 4 people. What we basically need to have the board meeting for is to pay some bills, so we're not causing our vendors to have to wait to get paid. I know we want to do it early in the day. That week's going to be kind of crazy with the holiday coming up, and if you can't make it, as long as we have, I'd love to have everybody here, but may not be feasible, but
I'll make that motion, Mr. Supervisor, if it's appropriate.
to go with the 22nd at 11?
Yes.
Okay. For support? Okay, any discussion? Paul?
Just to make sure we do have 4 people who can go before we change the meeting to a time we don't have 4.
I'm available.
Will we have 4 people? Mr. Reardon, Dr. Reardon, would you have the availability, you think?
I, as of right now, yes.
Okay. Mr. Kilmer?
Probably.
A good maybe?
Good maybe, yes.
That was 11.
Okay. Mr. Fike? 22nd.
It will be
Okay.
12,
It'll be brief,
22,
right?
Okay. What's that?
Brief meeting.
at 11 a.m.?
Yeah, about as long as this one.
I mean, my son does have a hair
Yes,
appointment.
it'll be brief.
Okay. All right, shall we proceed with the roll call, Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee White?
Yes.
Trustee Raridan?
Yes.
Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer?
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Item N, the board will consider a motion to renew the Township Antivirus Software and 24/7 Security Operations Center annual subscription fee for 2023 through the Center for Internet Security in the amount of $10,560 and authorize the superintendent to execute all related contracts and documents. Mr. Lucevelt? So this is a renewal, so it's obviously been working well for us.
Yes, it has. So this is just, there's no cost increases to it at all. It's the same what we paid last year. So we are just renewing what we already have. It's antivirus software that goes on all of our servers, all of our laptops, all of our workstations. It also provides us with 24/7 security operations center, like it says on there, that we can contact and that will actually reach out to us if there's any infections or anything like that that we need to target quickly. So I highly recommend that we do renew that. Any questions?
Mr. Hugo makes the motion, supported by Trustee White.
Supported by White. Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Trustee Raridan?
Yes.
Trustee White?
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
7-0, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Lucevelt. Okay, item O, Mr. Sears asked that we add one thing to the agenda. Mr. Sears, would you like to discuss a little bit about what you're asking?
Yeah, earlier this week, actually yesterday, I got notice from our architect who's designing the new facility that they need to do some site work, some additional survey work that we had previously done with Rowe whenever we demolished the building, but we did it previous to demolition, not after. So they need to do a new topographic survey and they need to confirm some wetland flagging. So in the interest of time and trying to get some of these stuff done, even maybe before the holidays, they asked that we approve it as expeditiously as possible. Superintendent Limita requested that we add it to the agenda tonight. I don't have the item in front of me. I believe the amount was $14,500, which is just over 1% of the architect's contract. Work would be completed by Fleece and Vanderblink, who's the engineer for the project.
Okay.
Is a motion in order, Mr. Supervisor?
It is.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, support by Ms. Hugo.
Support by Hugo. Trustee Fike?
Yes.
Trustee White?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Trustee Raridan?
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer?
Yep.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
Thank you.
7-0, motion passes.
In the effort to save some time going through the board reports, how about if, does anybody have a report on anything that they want to
Meeting,
give?
ZBA meeting next Tuesday.
Okay.
Metro meeting on the 21st, they'll talk about transportation improvement program, TIP.
Okay. Anything else? Just real briefly, We had a 911 consortium, both general membership meeting and executive meeting. Their vote was split, but in favor of allowing the city of Flint to enter into an exclusive agreement and for the 911 consortium to honor it. Questions came up again with regard to the liability. The attorney for 911 made no bones about it, that there is liability involved. He's tried to work to mitigate it, but it still exists. So they're moving forward with continuing to approve agreements that are exclusive for various communities, which we believe as a board. I voiced my concern that our legal standing on this is that our attorneys have said this is illegal activity, and I can't vote in favor of it. So, as a result, I was not elected to the executive committee for the next 2 years. So, with that, we will continue to make progress towards our effort to convincing some minds that they're going the wrong direction on this. So, I would like to congratulate one of our employees, Jillian Batchelor, in the, is that how you pronounce it, Batchelor? In the assessing department. She is one of our newer employees, but she also passed the MCAT Level 1 assessor exam in the past, or found out in the past week or so that she passed. So that's exciting for us as a township, and as difficult as it is for us to find staff, it's even more difficult to find people with an assessing background to fill those positions. So I want to congratulate her. With that, Mr. Laddie, anything to report on?
No, sir.
Okay. I think a motion to adjourn is in order. Second. Mr. White, supported by, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Wait,
Okay.
and Raritan,
Kilmer. Yeah.
adjourn.